Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack on Productions. Today I, Bancroft, am being joined once again by Matt, Jason, and like always, Jimmy.
What's going on, guys?
Hey everybody, how you all doing?
Damn, I got the like always now?
Fluff isn't here today, so you're here like 98% of the time.
Yeah, 98.
Oh, there was one video you weren't here for.
Yeah, no, hey, Bancroft, I'm glad you recovered from the ED.
We didn't bring that up last video. Well, before we get
I wasn't here to congratulate you. Like, I'm glad that, you're accepting that you're going to be soft forever,
Sure. Let's finish the intro first before we go any
there are
further.
prescriptions for that.
If you enjoyed the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to hear more of this nonsense, continue listening. If you want to watch the duel, we got it coming up as well. Today's matchup is Matt versus Jason, Gogeta versus Broly.
Mono red versus mono red.
It's
Which is really red. It's a quick game. It's actually like is this video is the game even 15 minutes?
Yes. It breaks down to roughly 18 minutes. This is actually one of the few videos where I don't have to speed the time up on.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about red on red. You're not, sure you'll see counters, but it's like this isn't going past turn 4 or 5.
Right.
So, we've seen both these decks kind of in action before, so we both kind of know the idea. I want to kind of go into maybe the beginning of your guys's, how you used to play the decks until the point you are now. I knew, Matt, you used to kind of like go all out on turns as soon as you can. But I know as you play Gogeta longer, you kind of found out the control mechanic of it.
Yeah, I've gotten so far away from that. I finally broke down and, spent the money to play set out Violent Rays. And I'm almost uncomfortable, going off before turn 5 now. Turn 3 is... No, it wouldn't have been a good idea, I think, in retrospect against Jason's deck. But turn 3 most of the time is exploiting weakness, honestly. Turn 4, more and more, is Jiren Unison. And turn 5 is just usually me going for game. I mean, if I can avoid it, ideally, waiting to turn 5 to awaken and getting that 2 extra energy is insane. But usually... I'm usually having to awaken on turn 4, just so that I have energy left over to buy more time with Violent Rays. And I'm using Jiren a lot for control, the Jiren Unison. I'm completely on an island as it concerns red, because I don't run Wolfang. I just don't have room for it in the deck. I probably should reconsider that. Actually, I may have been running one that night. But it's a control deck that goes off really, really well on turn 4 or turn 5.
Which is really interesting the way red has kind of shifted as of late, where it's built to be a very aggressive and big swing type color, but we keep getting these more game extension, field clear, control type cards in red, which is kind of an interesting design choice, because normally we're used to that kind of stuff in blue and yellow, and now yellow is getting a little bit more aggressive options, and blue is finally getting a top end, where red is just kind of in a weird limbo. Like, it's really interesting to see what's going to be coming out with red pretty soon, with stuff like King Vegeta and Bardock rolling around, with decks like Bulma and Gogeta, which tend to be more control and bring the game out a lot longer.
Speaking of control, I don't want to spoil the ending of this game, but you will see what I would think would be an unexpected play for a red deck that ultimately decides this game. And that just kind of goes to what Jimmy is saying about how red has shifted. I don't want to say shifted, but red has become far more versatile than it used to be. It's not, you're no longer just, bludgeoning someone in the head over and over again.
I mean, I can think of every red deck I truly played, from early Yamcha. Okay, besides Prison, early Yamcha, Pilaf, there were decks that I was comfortable with going off and hopefully winning on turn 3. And that was the strategy, just go.
Yeah.
Jason, when do you usually try to win with Broly?
When, like, what turn?
Yeah.
Basically, it's usually like when you get to turn 3. That way I can play my 6, because I always have to wait for my opponent to get to 3 energy before I can play the 6 drop. So usually around the time that my opponent gets 3 energy, that's when I try to go for the win.
Is the 6 drop the one that warps 3 for a turn?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 cards from your hand.
Yeah, that is so
And-
obnoxious.
And if you're able to do the chain like 4, 5, then 6, that's 5 cards you're warping for your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
And at any moment during your turn, your opponent tries to break that cycle, and you have a way of recovering it. That's just more cards.
And here I've actually kind of, instead of swinging with the 4 drop and trying to, I take a life, crit, then flip my card over so I can awaken and then attack. He's crit on both sides, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I would say 3 weeks ago, I think, is when you first started appearing on the channel with this deck. It's a huge difference when you played it then to now.
Yeah. So my whole focus on the Broly deck now is really trying to awaken as fast as I can. That way, when someone rips my cards away, I can play the 4 drop and rip a card from the opponent's hand. And then I can usually maintain a Broly 4 or higher until they get to 3 energy so I can play the 6 drop.
And doing 4 damage on turn 2 is so nice when your opponent's tapped on it.
Yeah.
I think you're starting to play the deck more akin to how a lot of top tables are playing the deck, where it is just a hyper rush down, win as fast as possible, don't let the opponent set up or do anything.
So here's Violent Rays number 1, which is buying me a turn.
Which is so great to search that off the leader.
I'm sorry. I was searching it off the leader. I wasn't playing it. I'm sorry. But yeah. No, I mean, that's like, I Dougie so hard now for Birth of a Super Warrior, so that I can just, I don't have to worry about that. So I can just search the top 7 for nothing but Violent Rays.
Now, I remember I edited this video, or I got it set up like a couple days ago. I want to kind of go over one thing I think I would consider a misplay. You saw he pulled Violent Ray, and you chose to swing with the leader first. Is there a reason why you didn't swing with the 5 drop? You just maybe didn't want him to attack it by any chance, or?
Yeah, because he doesn't have barrier, and I didn't have. I mean, I guess I could have, if he would have swung at the 5 drop, I could have blocked it with the blocker, but I didn't know what cards he had in hand, and I didn't want him to be able just to pop the card.
Gotcha.
If it was in rest mode.
I mean, so going for a crit and getting that negate out of the way is not a bad idea anyways.
Right.
So, like, this is frustrating at this point in the game because I'm pretty sure my hand has all the Gogeta pieces. There's even a
Max power?
Gosh, max power that I use at some point to get rid of one of his 4 drops. Oh, now actually.
You usually get rid of his 5 drop, yeah.
Or his 5 drop, yeah. And I thought, okay, well, that's definitely going to slow him down.
No,
But again, the deck is just so quick to recover and start the chain back up.
And that's one of the perks for Broly BR. The fact that, like, even if you knock it out, and though I think it's a once per turn thing, so if you could knock it out twice, then you're good to go. But that's a lot of resources.
I mean, you just essentially have to have 2 maxed powers. But then the very next turn, I mean, Jason, how hard is it to get the 4 drop back out, even if you're starting from scratch?
It depends on what cards I have in hand. If I have a 3 drop in hand, it's not that hard to get back out.
With removal with the Broly chain, the swap chain, since all the pieces come back to the hand, that if you just bounce it back to the hand, it's just they're going to play it right back out because they have all the pieces right back in their hand. Where in a lot of decks that have chains where you're stacking cards on top of each other or cards getting warped or put to the drop area, it's a lot more devastating to have one of your top end pieces get popped.
Yeah.
Because now you lost all of your setup pieces. But the key thing about Swap that makes it so incredibly good is that you never lose the hand advantage aspect of it. And also, if top end gets popped, it's like, okay, well, you just need to get another top end in your hand to go right back up the chain.
Now, I want to go over
such a powerful skill.
I want to go over one thing real quick. Broly's autos say they warp the card until the end of your opponent's next turn. Matt did pick that card up at the end of his current turn, unfortunately.
I think that was the turn, the card from the turn before that I forgot about.
No,
I may
you got rid of Gogeta turn before.
Oh, okay. Then that's just a misplay on my part. I apologize.
I mean, it's not a card you could combo with, and so you can't really use for protection.
Did I pick it up at the end of my current turn? Is that what I did?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the end. I didn't wait a turn. Or wait. I discard during his turn, so I don't get it back till the end of my following turn.
Yeah, and you popped his 5-drop, which caused him to play the 4-drop. So you warped a card, and you picked up at the end of your current turn instead of waiting till your next turn.
Oh, because he played the 4-drop on my turn.
Correct.
I see what you're. Okay, I misunderstood. Yeah, no, that's just me not knowing the rule. I normally you only see the Broly played on their turn, so I just have it in my head at the end of my turn I get my warped card back. Okay, that makes sense.
And here's what you kind of mentioned as well, like, you're holding off as long as you're able to. I mean, you had the negates to keep you safe, which is really great for Gogeta in this situation. So now you could freely tap as many cards as you need to and still have energy left over to continue either your turn or your go into your opponent's next turn.
No, yeah, I thought he was done here. I really did. I've got 4 energy. I haven't awoken yet, so I'm going to restand 2. I truly thought it was over. And as you will see, it's not over.
Yeah, I knew he was going to evolve the card, so I waited and just let him do his thing until he evolved the card.
Can you choose not to neg the cards out with Gogeta?
I negged out I wanted that 5-drop. Or is that the 5 or the 4
That's
out
the
right
4.
now?
That is the 4.
The 4.
I wanted it gone, so I negged. The 4 is 20, isn't it?
It's 90.
It is.
Yes, it is 20.
No.
Yeah, so the 5-drop Gogeta negs 15. So I got rid of the 4 when I swung with the 6-drop. I negged the 420 rather than neg the lead 20. I wanted that damn 4 gone.
All right, so there's where that's going, and then I think, if correct, you continue. You have the resources. Yeah, here comes another 4 right there.
Yep.
So getting a card out of your opponent's hand, especially in red, on their turn is unheard of and just incredibly powerful. You do have to drop a card yourself to play it, but you still get your, recur your chain and still get a card out of your opponent's hand that they cannot defend with the next turn, and then not even play the next turn, their next turn, so they have to wait the entire turn.
And there's your hero's lineage, or heroine's lineage. And the first thing that popped into my head is I'm putting 2 strategies of Universe 7 into this Gogeta deck, because that's never happening again.
Like, oh my goodness! Like, I think Jason was in the our group chat when I was doing this video. I was like, "Holy crap! What just happened?" Like, I agree. I thought that was it, because doesn't the 6-drop when your opponent attacks, you can neg a card out as well?
Yeah. When your opponent attacks, you can neg 20. So I thought, he's gonna, swing with whatever next turn. I'll buy myself time with the 6-drop. I think I've got 3 open energy, and I've got a topo in hand, so I'm thinking, I'm going to be fine. I mean, there's, what could he possibly do to me? Well, he jacks my card, and just completely, and I have 4 life too, which is how disheartening it is that I lose so badly this turn. So there, I sparkling an after image.
So we've mentioned it before, Jason, that you chose to swap out your SS4 Broly Secret Rare for Heroine's Lineage. And you've got a lot of support from us, and I don't think people in the community, I think a lot of people in the community are still sticking to SS4 Broly. And have you thought at all since switching that you want to switch back to SS4 Broly at any point?
No, I kind of like it the way that it is. To be honest, I'm winning more games without the Super Saiyan 4 Broly. And then I feel more comfortable of keeping the Heron's Lineage in my deck. That if I got the energy open, I feel more comfortable of actually surviving their turn. Because I know, like,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason. Just real quick, I was going to say, from a pure hilarious standpoint, I warp 3, so I no longer have a red card to discard to play Topo. So I have a Topo in my hand, 3 open energy, and then I read the card. Because I thought you could pay the 2 and negate, but not shut them down for the turn. Then I reread the card, and I'm like, no, you have to even discard just to play the negate. So just utterly demoralizing.
And I know I talked to Jason about this a little bit as well. Swinging with a crit battle card first is probably a better option, even though that one card could be a negate regardless, because you potentially just gave them more resources.
Yeah, pretty much. I realized that after I swung, like, oh crap, I should have swung with the crit first, but.
I think Jason's right, not playing the SCR. Gogeta really needs, there are many cases where Gogeta needs the SCR to get over the hump. I don't think Broly does. I think it's either Fluff or Jimmy who uses the expression, it's a win more card. It's like, you don't need it. And I think Heroine's Lineage if you get the 6-drop Broly out there, they're probably going to lose. Whereas Heroine's Lineage is so versatile as a defensive card.
I don't think we mentioned it. I may have just blanked out when it happened. But on the 6-drop Broly, the Broly player gets to choose the 3 cards that are placed in the warp.
Yeah.
Not reveal, just pick, right?
Correct. Yeah, just pick.
Well, I had 4, so in retrospect, I guess it doesn't matter. But, as you could tell, I lose. I go down here.
Talking to Jason beforehand, he said those are the 3. He was going to pick the 3 on the end anyways.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't bring it up when it happened.
Okay.
But you're right, Jimmy. Normally, that the player who plays the 6-drop early chooses 3 cards from your opponent's hand to warp. And this right here,
just such an FU way to beat somebody. Just such an FU way to beat somebody.
Using the field card to free play the 2-drop to get the 1-drop in your hand and be able to swing with that right afterwards.
Yeah.
But back to the earlier conversation, Hero's Lineage adds that little extra defense package to the Broly deck. Yes,
and that's what it really needs too, because a Broly, to be honest, doesn't have a lot of defense. Because even though I do play like 3 or 4 blockers this game, like I only use the blocker like once, because everyone usually negs my blocker before I have a chance to use it anyway.
Yeah.
And that was Jason showing me what was in his hand. He had is that all you got in a Wolf Fang? So even if he doesn't have Heroine's Lineage, it's still going to be an uphill battle for me to win that game.
Any game that makes me kind of like tilt my head and go, huh? I feel like it's a good game. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for joining us for today as well. And Matt, final words.
That was just, thoroughly demoralizing. I have all the Broly tech. I've just never built the deck, and our store championships are the 29th. So I may start looking at some Broly deck lists online, put my own little spin on it, and try to play it on the 29th. I think it's a really, really strong deck, and I don't have enough time to learn anything from the new set by the 29th.
Jason?
Practice. That's what I always say. It's just practice.
It's not a bad go-to.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It definitely helps to know what your opponent is playing, because I kind of knew, because I played map before, like the weekend before, so I kind of knew what to expect, which helped me out.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever beaten your Broly deck with anything besides U7. I've beaten it a couple times with U7, but I don't think I've ever beaten it with any of my red stuff.
I think you're right about that.
And Jimmy?
If you want Bullet Club inspired Attack on Productions t-shirts, please let Bancroft know in the comments, because otherwise he will never finish the artwork for it. Thank you and goodbye. From the Ghost of Fluff. Matt, would you like to say something before the Ghost of Fluff decides to speak?
I would quickly point out there will be 2 tiers of t-shirts. There'll be Attack on Productions Bullet Club and Attack on Productions Bullet Club Elite, depending on how faithful you are with the forthcoming Attack on Productions Patreon, which I'm going to push for. So if you want that Elite tier, be sure to say so in the comments.
Bancroft's going to cut every fucking thing out from here.
What are you guys doing to me?
Silence. Bancroft, we're making you work. We're making you work for your dinner. All right, you're not going to eat unless you finish this graphic, okay?
Just lead us out.
Ghost of Fluff, he left. He got bored. He was disgusted by your attitude, Bancroft.
I'm giving you the option to lead us out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was saying. I was going to let the Ghost of Fluff, but now the Ghost of Fluff is not in me anymore. So I'm just going to say good night.